Welcome to Georgia Tech and the very first ever Carreker Fireside Chat on entertainment and technology, organized by Georgia Tech School of Electrical and Computer Engineering. My name is Hiba Morali, and I'm a current master's student in ECE here at Tech. I'm super excited for tonight's event, and I hope all of you are too. It's sure to be a very interesting, high-energy affair with some enjoyable, memorable discussions. So with that, let's get started. I'm very happy and excited to introduce today's moderator, our very own fearless leader and ECE School Chair, Dr. Magnus Egerstedt.
Welcome to Fireside Chat on entertainment and technology. When we planned this event, it started a few months ago, and we didn't really know where to hold it. I didn't want to use the beautiful First Center of the Arts because, to be honest, there was no way we were going to fill it up, and it would just look empty and weird. But I'm delighted to see that I was completely wrong, and so many of you are here today. And as Hiba said, I am the Chaddick School Chair in the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering at Georgia Tech. And for those of you who don't know, by the way, you should all know, but for those of you who don't know, Georgia Tech is a world-class research university and a bastion of higher learning. It's a place that's filled with scrappy, passionate, high-energy, talented people that are working together to solve some of the most important problems of our time. Problems in cybersecurity or robotics or climate research or clean energy. But we're also a public university. And as a public university, we have a public university mission. And that mission is to really be a good partner with our local communities and our local neighborhoods. And if I'm completely honest, we haven't always done as good of a job as we could when it comes to reaching out. Just reaching out to our local neighbors. When it comes to telling our story, when it comes to highlighting why a Georgia Tech education can really transform people's lives. To be honest, and to be kind of summarizing the whole idea, we really want to be a better, a more open and inclusive partner to our local communities. So that's kind of the backdrop. So when we sat down and we started plotting, what is it that we want to do with this event, we wanted it to be different. We also wanted it to be kind of big, which is bigger than most things we do on campus. And we also wanted to make sure that we bring in people from the local communities and from the city of Atlanta, where now engineering, technology, and entertainment are really coming together to power big things in this city. So that's what we set out to do. Fast forward a few months, we're now here today to see the first ever Carreker Fireside Chat on engineering and technology. Entertainment and technology, apologize. And some of you are probably thinking already, when is this dude gonna stop speaking? Soon is the answer. Because we do have two guests with us today, the two main characters in this drama, and I just want to say a few words about them. We have Vernell Woods. Vernell is a serial entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of Mula Mobile, and that's a mobile software company that provides custom mobile phones to businesses and consumers. And the idea is very, very elegant, I think. It's to let lower income communities receive income and access to resources just by using their phones. Vernell is also involved with Grand Hustle Entertainment, where he oversees technical projects and partnerships for the company. But most importantly, as far as I'm concerned, Vernell attended Georgia Tech as a computer engineering student, and he was a President's Scholar during his time here, which is kind of a big deal. And then there's some other guy, apparently, that's showing up. Tip T.I. Harris. You're not here to see me or Vernell, is that really it? He has made many
many contributions to the world of entertainment, including 10 hit albums, multiple Grammys and American Music Awards, blockbuster movies and television shows like ATL, American Gangster, and Marvel's Ant-Man, just to name a small sample. But he's not only an entertainer, he's left a significant mark on the world of business, and his empire includes a record label, a clothing line, a real estate holdings company, a production company, and the non-profit organization Harris Community Works. As if that wasn't enough, he has also served on a number of official task forces and committees here in the city of Atlanta. His community focus is around driving economic mobility and equity in vulnerable, underserved communities. And for his work, he was awarded the first ever Voice of the Culture Award by the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. So, lots of words. If I should summarize Tip's bio, he makes all of us look like slackers. So with that, let's welcome Vernell and Tip to the stage. Yeah.
Hello?
What's going on, everybody?
It's a pretty nice setup, right? I mean, we have a fireplace.
Oh man, this is really a fireside
It's
chat.
a fireside chat.
Yeah.
So I think there's no point in chit-chatting. Let's dive right in. So I actually think you're here maybe more as Tip Harris, the entrepreneur, the philanthropist, the technology investor, the activist, maybe more than T.I., the rapper. But this journey is a little odd to me. Meaning, how do you go from a rapper to someone that has a business empire? Is this planned? Does it happen by chance?
Well, I mean, I think that first of all, even before I was a rapper, I was an entrepreneur. So I have an entrepreneurial spirit. And that entrepreneurial spirit doesn't live and die in physical performances. So, I've been investing in myself and finding ways to diversify my portfolio since far before people even knew who T.I. was. I've been purchasing properties, building houses, redeveloping the community for years now. And I feel like as a musician, of course music is still my passion. I just don't think it's my only purpose. I think a lot of gifts, skills, talents, and abilities are left on the table if I'm only doing music. There's so much more I have to contribute to the culture, the generation, and the community. So that's why we're here today.
Sure. But so a lot of the successful entrepreneurs that I know, or athletes, or we're at Georgia Tech's campus, scientists, right? They are single-mindedly, relentlessly focused on their thing. And I wonder, is it the same thing that makes you a successful rapper that also makes you an effective entrepreneur? Or?
No, I think it's two different applications of skill. But I think the one thing that both of them have in common is diversity. I have an ability to recognize potential in something that others may walk past continuously without really seeing any true value. I think my ability to incorporate vision to any set of circumstances, I think has become profitable. Like for instance, around the corner there's a building. There's a building that I purchased. It used to be an old kind of, I'll call it shade tree backdoor event space.
One of those.
And so I purchased the building at a nominal price, and the vision for the building became a trap music museum. Now, thank you. Now, I'm sure many people rode by that building, had an opportunity to buy it, but they didn't because they didn't see purpose. You know what I'm saying? My vision allowed me to see a purpose that kind of, you know, that increased the value of the building instantaneously because I knew what I could do with it. And I think it's things in that ability that kind of separates me.
So I've been stalking you a little bit for the last couple of weeks,
Okay.
trying to read up about the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, is it true, for instance, that you were selling candy in elementary school?
Fourth grade, yeah, I became a candy salesman in fourth grade.
And I also saw that, so your first album, your first major album was on an established record label.
LaFace, yeah.
Yeah, and the second one was not. You started your own, right? Is that?
Well, yes and no. So my first album was on LaFace. It didn't receive the attention from the label in the marketing department that it deserved. But what I could ascertain was that the only reason people weren't buying it is because they hadn't heard it. As soon as I put it in someone's hands and they listened to it, they went and bought it. So at that point I said, okay, well, I can't wait on the label or depend on the label to market me and put me in front of as many eyeballs as I need to be successful. So I began to assert myself and, you know, travel from here to the surrounding areas, Augusta, Macon, Athens, Birmingham, South Carolina, Chattanooga, Jacksonville, Tampa, Tallahassee, and really hand to hand in malls, projects, clubs, and passing out, you know, the for promotion only CDs that I got from the label. And then when I ran out of those, I kind of took everybody's favorite songs off of the first album, added a few new songs, and did a mixtape series that I also began to give away for free and sell sometimes, depending on where I was. And in those efforts kind of led to the attention of the label that had not been paying attention to me. And they asked me to work on a second album, and I said no, because it's really what I was doing that got us here. So if you want to continue with the idea, I need $2 million and I need a joint venture. And LA told me I was crazy and got me out. Well, he didn't tell me I was crazy. He said, well, okay, I guess we'll release you. And that was the best thing he could have did for me, because at that time I had already completed my second album. I had the first single from my second album climbing up the charts, gaining more radio play and more exposure every week. And I was a free agent. So then I went and negotiated a $3 million deal for a joint venture about 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah, that's solid. So part of what we're trying to do here at Georgia Tech is really reimagine what engineering education could look like. And we have stuff inside our classrooms, right? So you take a class, you take the test, you get some credit, and at the end of the day, you cobble together a degree. But what really creates value, I believe, to the experience on campus is all the stuff that happens outside of the classroom. It's the art studios and the maker spaces and the entrepreneurship opportunities and the robotics clubs, all this stuff that allows people to truly take what they learn and take that to the next level. So I think this is how I introduced Vernell. Vernell was a student here, but he kind of lived the idea of value is created outside of the classroom, maybe more than inside of the classroom. So can you tell us a little bit about your experiences as a student here at Georgia Tech?
Well, I mean, when I was here at Tech, it was fun. I was just like every other student. We went to parties, we went to, we DJ'd, we did MPE, I did ORS. So I just did a lot of different programs and clubs inside of school, but for me, what mattered more was what I was gonna do when I was leaving. I didn't come to school with the purpose of saying I wanted a degree or I wanted this and then I'm gonna go get a job. It was more about what problems am I gonna try and solve in my community? And how am I gonna use what I learned here to go and foster that. So I interned as much as I could. You know, I was really blessed to get like internships with like IBM, Sybase, Raytheon. So I got a lot of experience in the corporate world, but I also touched a lot of different things, just doing music and consulting work all across the city. So I was really blessed to really have my hands in a lot of different things and gain a lot of experience while I was here at Tech.
And in particular, entrepreneurship. I mean, you caught the entrepreneurial bug already as a student, right?
Caught it early, yeah.
I told you I've been stalking you.
Okay.
So I've been reading up about stuff. So for the last 3 weeks, every day, to and from work, I've been listening to T.I. songs on the radio in the car. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's actually worse than that. So I've been caught at home, walking around, singing. You can get whatever you like.
That was almost right.
That was close.
Right.
It was close though. It was close. It was
And when my
close.
wife hears that, she always says, what I would like is for you to stop singing. But one thing that I read, so this
Okay.
was my way of saying that, is you actually, I mean, you invest in technology ventures, and you invest in technology, but you really focus more on the people as opposed to the technology. Is that right?
Yeah, I invest in people more than I do in like technology ventures. And you know, Vernell and I have kind of been in alignment and association professionally like 3-4 ventures ago. Like, you know, we've made pivots and kind of reestablished the brand and the purpose for different ventures several times. And I made it very clear to him, hey, listen, if this idea doesn't work and the next one does, I'm in on that too. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
I believe in Vernell, you know. I don't know which one of these ambitious harebrained schemes that he comes up with. I don't know which one of them is actually going to pop, but I believe that he has the acumen and the intelligence and the vision to start from something, recognize the need or a service that he could implement into an idea and have it materialize. I don't know which one of these things it's gonna be, but whatever it is, I'm in.
Yeah, we ready.
Which then begs the question, Vernell, how did a computer engineering student at Georgia Tech end up working with T.I. Harris? How did you swagger into his life?
Oh man, so when I was creating my first company, Yopima, I was struggling to find investment. And I was struggling to find which investors would really want to invest in me. Because sometimes when you're going to raise money, I had to learn and understand that you're asking someone to take a chance on you as a person and their comfort and how much they understand about you and whether they believe they're going to get their money back and how invested, it determines how much they're willing to invest in you. And so when I was struggling, I got desperate. I need to figure this out by any means. And so I had some really great people at Georgia Tech that were guiding me. Steve Chaddick, the Steve Chaddick School of Computer Engineering, wherever Steve you are, Steve, right? He was really influential for me. But there was also John Lanza, who was my lawyers, and they were like, this is about hustling. This is about figuring it out. And so what he had already understood, where he was like, all right, well, they aren't giving me what I want. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to pick up my CDs and I'm going to go and distro one by one. I hadn't learned that. That wasn't something that I knew. But at the same time, I knew if I could get to someone that understood more than me and that had gotten more than me, I could get an opportunity to do something that no one else could. So I reached out. I think we had a couple of friends that were here at Georgia Tech.
Man, Biscuit walked up to me at a bar with him in tow. Said, hey, you gotta meet my guy. Okay.
That story, listen, but no, be honest, they were like, no. He looked at me, he looked me up and down, I was like, who are you? And I literally had to push my way through all the people that were around. I was like, look, I can make $1 billion, you trying to listen or not? And that was...
He said that.
And it was...
The $1 billion in the mail. You know what I'm saying?
Still coming, y'all. Still working.
Postage service.
Still working.
Slow on
Still
it.
working. Slow on it.
It's coming.
He's like, yeah, I need that.
It's coming.
but I But my back was against the wall. I didn't see a way out, and I knew that if I had people that understood where I was coming from and the things that I was trying to do, that I would get an opportunity. I would get a chance, and that's all I really wanted was one shot. And
Yeah, well,
now I have.
he talked me into it.
But I mean, did you just swagger up and go, hey, I'm Vernell?
Now, excuse me, explain the swagger up. I'm trying to ascertain the complete definition of swagger up. Is that to approach with extreme swagger?
I believe it is.
It is?
But I think swagger, first of all, you can't swagger if you don't have something to swagger about.
No, but see, swaggering up though. Okay, so.
But you have to have a foundation
Would it
from
be
which to
someone?
swagger.
But would it be someone with nominal swagger approaching someone with exceptional swagger and connecting themselves to something that allows them to swagger up? Or would it be swaggering up? You know, like which?
Yeah, and
Take your time.
No, I actually believe that. So here is someone's swagger, and if someone else shows up and you swagger out of phase, then the whole thing doesn't work out. If you're in phase, you amplify the swagger.
Amplify one's swagger.
But then you have to swagger in phase.
So basically, keeping company with people with as much or more swagger than you will allow you to swagger up.
I believe so. And for the record, I believe I just swaggered up a little bit.
Hey man, congratulations.
So Vernell, Moolah Mobile, what exactly is that? This is your latest venture.
Yes, so what we're doing is we're taking Android phones and we're redesigning the home screens and we're putting ads inside of them. And we believe that if we can make so much off of advertising, then we should be able to give you some back. And that 10% that we're giving you back is enough to begin making a difference in some people's lives. And so that's what we're doing. Right?
What my very intelligent friend is trying to say.
He's better at pitching than me.
We're giving away free money.
That's the easiest way to say it.
We're giving away free money. If you download this app and you engage, you accumulate free money in your account.
For something that you're using anyway. Which
Exactly.
Is your phone.
Right.
A lot of times there are ads. If you have a Metro PCS or a Boost Mobile or
Cricket, any of those,
Cricket, anything like that. When you kind of refresh your screen every now and again, you might see a Ford ad or you might see other ads that pop up. And when you have to look at these ads, and you look at them whether you go buy a Ford or not. But they're receiving funds for you watching that ad. And we just said, well, why would they not kind of cut you in on the business that they're doing? You are watching the ad.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to receive money from Ford if you weren't paying attention to the ad. So we just kind of said we're going to do a share in ad revenue with everyone who downloads this app.
That's cool. And I like it that it's based on stuff that people are doing already anyway.
Right. And then, and this is my ambitious long-term vision. I feel that this app could essentially, with the right partnerships and alignments, creating the right synergies, it could replace welfare. And what made me say that is, I've seen people who have nowhere to stay, standing outside, begging for change, but they have a cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, instead of standing outside begging for change, if you just continue to engage on this phone to fill out surveys and watch videos, by the end of the month, you could receive $100, $200 check from us.
That's exactly it.
And I think that applies, although it's a very minute effort, it does require some effort. And it does allow, some level of entrepreneurship. All you really need is a phone.
Right. And then to take that even further, once we figured out this model, because we're doing something really innovative here, because this isn't how people understand ads. This isn't how they go about the freemium business model on Facebook or any of those other kind of companies. But once we figure that out, we also have the ability to put more interesting things inside of the phone as well. Because we are your home screen, we can introduce you to new technologies and new things that may get overlooked in certain communities. So now we're able to introduce new technology and put money back into the community the way we really want.
So I want to follow up on this idea of partnering with communities, because I think Georgia Tech is an amazing gem and it's a resource, but we are not always as effective as we could be when it comes to partnering to our immediate neighbors and communities around us. And it's true, I mean, every year we get a little bit better. Our student population looks a little bit more like the population in the city of Atlanta, but there is room for improvement. So, Tip, let's say you had my job. What would I do? How do I solve this problem? Or what can we do to become a better partner to our immediate neighborhoods and communities around us?
Well, first off, if I got your job, what do you do exactly? Like what?
Yeah, so that's a good, fair question. I write emails. I run the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering here in Georgia.
Okay.
And I work for our mutual friend Ada, who tells me what to do.
Okay, well, is there already been some funds or something that resembles a budget? Is there already been some of that allocated?
Yep.
And if so, I need to know like around where about, because that'll help me kind of distribute things appropriately. You trying to stick your toe in or you diving in head first? That's what I'm saying.
$2 million and complete
$2 million?
control. No.
Okay.
I went back to the record
Oh,
dealer.
I was about to.
No, but I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it in a little bit of a roundabout way, and then I will dive in. But
All right.
to me, one of the things that we don't do as well as we should, which is why I'm really excited about this event, is Georgia Tech is an abstraction. We're this abstract thing to people, and we have over 100 APS high school kids here today, and I'm really excited about that. And they're not only here, they're front row, but I mean this idea of getting, exactly.
Frederick Douglass Astro.
There's one person clapping, did you notice that?
That's all right. Yeah. Most important person in the room, I'll say.
Yeah. No, but getting people to campus, I think, is a very, very important second step. The first step is we're trying to get out in the communities, but we have so much to offer. Our campus is amazing. Our resources are special. And
exposure, I feel, is a very big thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the problems that plague our community, I think that they can kind of all be traced back to three voids: the lack of formidable education, the lack of opportunities, and the lack of exposure. Yeah. So if we can be included on, comparable education as our counterparts in other surrounding counties, if we can be included on comparable opportunities as people who look like you and not like us, and if we could be included on exposure to things that basically Black people usually don't have enough money to expose themselves to. You know what I'm saying? So if we have that or an alignment with an entity like Georgia Tech that could solve all three of those things in one swoop, then I think we have no choice but to advance.
that's wonderful. And I think, yeah. I mean, to me, this event, success, when it comes to this event, ultimately comes back to, let's say 120 kids here.
Okay.
If 25 of you show up in my class 2 years from now, that is success, because...
How about we get 25 scholarships?
How about we do that?
That way,
I said 120.
That way we know. But you said out of 125, if 25 show up to you, the way you can guarantee that 25 of them will show up is if you give out 25 scholarships.
That would be amazing. Because what I believe is once not everyone, people on campus don't look like me. Right? I mean, I am not a particularly good role model.
Why not?
I'm a middle-aged white dude from Northern Europe, man.
What does that mean? I don't understand. What does that mean?
Cool. No, but to me, opening the faucets is such a big part of this.
Right.
So that's why I don't want to stop with 25, but that's how you start.
Let's not stop. Let's start. You know what I'm saying? Let's start with 25 and let the success of that open the door for 25 more.
Yeah, I love this.
So is it 25 scholarships you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, let's do 25 scholarships.
That's amazing. That's so cool. To Paris, everybody. So my problem now is I should probably just stop talking so I don't say anything stupid.
Hey man, seems like advancement to me. When we talk, people they reap the benefits. So you want to help? Let's keep talking.
Let's keep talking. In fact, the theme was really around this idea of entertainment and technology also coming together in this city. And again, as someone who grew up with a different continent, right? When I moved to Atlanta 19 years ago, I thought this place was amazing. I mean, it's scrappy, it's high energy, it's a hungry place, and in various different ways. But this idea around what's going on in, from my point of view, the technology space, and then all this entertainment stuff going on. I mean, it's a little magic. So I got to ask you, how important is the city of Atlanta to your? If you were from Milwaukee, would you be sitting here today?
Yeah, if I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, but there is something in the water here.
Yeah, I think that, our forefathers and ancestors, the lineage that we all come from in this city is that of Black excellence, African American opulence, if you will. I mean, you could go back to the first millionaire of this city, who was Alonzo Herndon, who started. He was a Black man, and he had a barbershop. He started out with a barbershop, then he went to a string of barbershops. Then he became an insurance. He kind of subleased insurance, if you can. Like, he noticed that most people in our communities didn't have insurance. So one of the white men whose hair, and he only cut white people's hair. It was a Black barbershop, but he cut white folks' hair. So what that did was that kind of opened the door of opportunity for Mr. Herndon to kind of hear what could be made available to him by the people whose hair he cut, and kind of take what was made available to him and offer it to our community as far as noticing what was missing. So he became one of the first Black-owned insurance companies, and he kind of offered people insurance around the city in the Black neighborhoods. And he became the first Black millionaire. And you can also go back to Daddy King, Dr. King's father, who I believe was like the first Black board member of a big prestigious bank, which kind of put him in a very prestigious place within the community. So when his son, Dr. King, said that he wanted to fight civil rights, then that didn't just come out of nowhere. There was a platform. There was already an infrastructure, a network, if you will, of support there that already existed. And so you go from the civil rights era and all the people who surrounded Dr. King, aligned and assisted in his efforts. That then opened the door for someone like Maynard Jackson to come and become the first African-American mayor of this city. And in the spirit of inclusion, Maynard Jackson, when they were building when they were working on the Hartsfield Airport at the time, they needed runways poured. And what Maynard said was, I want an African-American company to come pour this runway. And so everybody said, but Maynard, there aren't any African-American runway pourers here. And Maynard said, well, a runway ain't nothing but some asphalt. It's African-American asphalt pourers. Why don't you just get them out here and tell them to pour the runway? And, it's that kind of spirit of inclusion. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thinking outside of the box, I feel like that's the spirit of this city. And it's the actions and the efforts that were taken by, people who came long before me and long before hip-hop came to Atlanta. It's that entrepreneurial, minority inclusional spirit that allows us to be what we are today.
So Vernell, following up on that, what would you tell smart high school students now in the city of Atlanta who, how do they think about their careers and their place in this?
Well, for me, I would say that it's not necessarily about a career. It's just you walk outside every day and you look left and right, and as you're getting older, you're seeing problems around you. And you can wait for somebody to try and fix those. You can wait for somebody to try and be the solution, or you can do it yourself. And so for me personally, failure really isn't an option, right? You go until you can't anymore. And so when I face one wall, you figure out how to get around it, and then I landed on tip, right? And so you land somewhere completely different. So when you set your mind to something, go for it, solve problems, and just challenge everything you can. And understand you need help. That's something I've been learning in my later years, right? That's something he's been really.
You say what?
Is you need help.
Even the most brilliant person in the world, for their level of brilliance to be truly manifested and attained, the best thing, the first thing, the smartest person in the world must know is what they don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could be brilliant and go out there and do a bunch of stuff that you have no idea how to work and how to do it, and that's gonna make you look stupid every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a balance. It's a real balance, because you gotta have this confidence to attack a problem that nobody around you is looking at, or nobody really even believes sometimes that you can do. But you gotta have that confidence to do it, but you have to have that understanding of yourself to be like, all right, here's my limit. Here's where I need help. Here's when I need my resources. Here's when I need to lean on Georgia Tech. Here's when I need tip. I need more advisors. I need, and understanding that. And that's something I really didn't understand when I was younger. When I was first starting out, when we first met, he'll tell you, like, it was more.
You were too smart.
Whatever that is. I was.
I think you, yeah.
They're like, yes.
As far as I can
yes.
tell.
But it's understanding that you're gonna need people around you, so lean on the people around you that are already willing to help. There are people already there that if you look in your community and you look left and you look right, the first few people may say no, but that doesn't mean stop. Just keep looking for the people that will help you, and you'll get there.
I also believe there is also like secondhand intelligence. I think that is a thing. Like, okay, if someone comes to me and says, Tip, I need someone to show me how to build this app that happens to have a media component attached to it. Now, because I have media experience and I feel like, you know, I could kind of curate a media platform, if I use that part of my intellect and say, all right, come on, we'll figure the rest of that stuff out. Okay, well, see, then I would be trying to cross-collateralize my intelligence to go from media also into coding and programming.
Amplified swagger, maybe even.
Well, I think I kind of would dilute a bit of my swagger because I'm trying to spread out my familiarity and the information I have on one subject and trying to spread it over into another subject. That would turn my 100% to a 50. Whereas if I say, okay, well, I know I can do this, not very good at that, let me call Vernell. And including Vernell turns my 100 into 200 because now I can actually do what I do well and depend on him to do what he does well. And together we could move forward in success.
So the number one thing that I am proud of here at Georgia Tech are the people that go through our programs and that go out and do amazing things in the world. They can be scientists or educators or policymakers or entrepreneurs. And I was kind of pleased that not only Vernell, but I ran into William Sparks, who is a former Georgia Tech student. You value our product, is that?
Some of them.
Yeah. So
No, I mean, Georgia Tech is a phenomenal institution. I believe that, you know, it has historically produced and generated some of the most meticulous thinkers that the industry that the industry has known, not just the tech industry, but the industry of business. You know, the business community has kind of proven that your model works. You know what I'm saying? I just happen to be in the business community, and I'm also understanding that this model must work. But I don't just, it's not a blanket understanding. It's case by case.
you're not hiring all of them. Right.
I mean, I don't know. What are all of their ideas? What ideas do all of them have?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, you know what? Why don't we hear from them? So
Let's hear from them, absolutely.
Yeah. So we actually invited people to submit questions beforehand, both from our high school visitors and from Georgia Tech students. And I have a few names here. I hope you're here. So, Rachel McBride, are you in the audience? I can't see it all.
It's very dark.
Rachel, do you have a mic?
It's very moody out here. I can't. Okay, it's getting better.
Do you have a mic?
Is there a mic to be given to Rachel?
I think, Rachel, come up. Let's share a mic.
Sure.
Right, that works.
Come on, Rachel. Absolutely. Here, she's just talking to this one. Or go right around.
Go around. She's just going to ask a question, but Rachel McBride, everybody. To take this. And is the question for me or Vernell?
The question was
That's it.
for Vernell.
For me.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
all right, Miss McBride. Come on, man. You have the floor.
So my question was, how do you find inspiration on how to innovate technology in entertainment when there are already so many existing technologies?
Good
Good
question.
question.
That's a very, very good question.
Good question.
Very good question. For me, the inspiration is a combination of the pain points that I see, right? It's just understanding, looking at the market and saying how many people are experiencing the same issue, And then what does it take to get there? And now that I have evolved a little bit in business, it's how much resources is it going to require, and when do I get those resources back? And I think that the interconnection between those things is how I decide and say, okay, this is a good thing to go for right now, and this isn't. And then after that, whatever I come up with, then I go to a team of advisors that are smarter than me, that have done this more than I have, and that have made way more money and been way more successful. And then I give it to them, and then I see what they think. And then normally, if it's something that's really good, I'll normally end up getting a lot of support from the people that are already supporting me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. McBride.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't know how we're gonna pull this off,
This
but
way? We got one. It looks like we got a mic that way.
we have a mic now.
There's
Lovely.
a mic there.
Yeah.
Won't he do it?
So, Chris Jordan. Chris, are you here? There's Chris Jordan. And a mic is being
There's
given to
a
you.
mic being expedited to
Tell
you.
us where you go to school and what grade you're in.
I go to the Carreker School of the Arts, and I'm a senior.
And you're coming to Georgia Tech.
Maybe.
It's time to ask about those scholarships.
The scholarships
Chris.
now, scholarships. Look, scholarships.
That's exactly right.
So I had one question for Vernell that I actually asked you earlier, and it's what is it like integrating these skills for marketing and entrepreneurship with your skills in software design?
To piggyback a little bit on what Tip said earlier, I've learned to not do that. I am not the marketing person. As you can see, he's way more charismatic. This is what he does every day. I'm really good at innovation and tech.
What am I doing?
Being yourself. What you mean? but I've learned to be good at what I'm good at and learn to stay there. And it doesn't mean that I won't venture out and try new things and gain new passions, but I can't be the best at everything. And so I'm really good at tech. I'm really good at innovation. I'm really good at seeing where it is we need to go. But marketing is not my strong suit, so I find other people to help me.
Accounting.
There's a lot of things I'm not good at. The innovation, I'm better. And so I get people that are better at me to do those things.
Cool. Thank you. All right, let's go to our some Georgia Tech students here. So is Deraj Bandaru in the audience? There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is actually Dheeraj.
Oh, I wasn't even close.
Diraj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, as activists, are there any resources that you see within the Atlanta region that could be mobilized using technology that haven't been so far that would help the community?
That's a real good question right there.
Well, first of all, I would say this. I don't necessarily consider myself an activist.
Me either.
People call me that, and I appreciate the acknowledgement.
I gotta say, I got an official bio that had the word activist.
I feel you. Even the person that wrote that bio, I appreciate it. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm very active, but I don't necessarily consider myself an activist. I'm in the for-profit business, and I think activism is a very non-profit kind of thing. So I think there are more people out there who are boots on the ground day in, day out, who live much more humble lifestyles.
Maybe I should reword my question then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. As a figure in the Atlanta community, as having that vantage point, do you see any resources that could be mobilized using technology?
I mean, there are always resources that could be mobilized. I say for instance, if there was, and I don't know if this exists already, but I'm just gonna, toss it out there. If there was an app that kept us up to speed, day and date, in real time of all of the inefficiencies of the police department whenever abuse of power is whenever there are injustices, and in real time, sort of like Waze, you know what I mean? So if by using geofencing technologies, the community that have joined in with this app could kind of know this has happened over here, and the closest people to it could divert their attention, their efforts, their energies there in real time to kind of offer whatever support would be necessary, like those types of things. Because the thing is, with Instagram, everybody sees so much so often that you don't know how much of it is important to your application of skill or your potential investment of time. And I think if we could kind of, streamline that information, given the people who are collected in a certain area, I think that may be helpful.
And to piggyback a little bit more, technology in itself, all you're really doing, it doesn't matter whether you're creating a shovel or you're creating a computer, all you're really doing is solving a problem, right? And you're finding a way to take what skills you have to make something better. So it doesn't really matter whether you're saying, okay, we have an issue with policing, or we have an issue with education, or we have an issue with just jobs, right? Regardless of what it is, you're taking your skill set and saying, what can I do to improve what we already have? And that's what I learned here at Tech, right? And so no matter what you're doing or no matter where it's being applied, it's always technology. So I think it can be applied almost anywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we maybe have time for one last question. Farouk Maraba. Oh, as if this was planned.
Hey, I was just wondering, how can the intersection between music and technology, or technology with another field, like how do you facilitate that interaction? So you described about approaching him at like a bar, right? But in a different way, how can me, with my niche being like technology, how can I collaborate with someone that's in a completely different industry to create a new product that the market needs?
Conversation.
Showing your value.
That's what you do within the conversation.
Once you get the conversation, show the value. Yeah. Now, I don't advise.
Hello always works.
Right, I don't advise saying that, but.
Excuse me, my name is, this is what I have, this is what I think it could add to what you have, this is how we could work together, and if you want to hear more, I'll be over here.
Courage.
Awesome, cool. Thank you.
Actually, that's pretty much what we have time for. I gotta say, this was super fun.
For me too.
For him too.
Yeah.
And I am really, really happy.
Insightful. I learned something today.
Yeah, so did I.
I learned how to swagger up.
No, and I'm also really happy that this was not a singular act.
Right on.
This is an ongoing conversation.
Absolutely, an ongoing conversation with 25 scholarships right now that have been committed.
So to show our gratitude, I have some gifts here hiding. So here is my demo tape.
Okay. Come on with it.
I was a punk rocker 400 years ago in Stockholm, Sweden.
Man, that's dope. If I just had something to play this
what we gonna play that on?
I only had something to play this on.
It's a real tape.
It's a real cassette.
It's a real tape.
It is my demo tape.
All the people in the front.
From when I was 18 in Stockholm. And
thank you.
Elegant stuff.
Thank you. I want to open it. I want to see what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Let's
wonderful.
see what this is. Let's see here. This is a award
That says
for Vernell Woods. Why, thank you. Okay, here, maybe this is yours. I see, maybe this is mine. Take your trash, Tim. Let's see.
It probably says Magnus Egerstedt if I'm...
Let me see. This says it's to Etta. What did you... No, I'm joking. To Tip T.I. Harris, Jim Carreker, Fireside Chat, School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Georgia Institute of Technology, October 7, 2019. This is dope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So everyone,
Thank you so much.
Let's thank our two guests again.
Get your water off the floor.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, man, that was good.
All right, it was good.
Oh, we're supposed to.